By the grace of God, I was given a second chance to live my life. I was first imprisoned when I was 19. My wife gave birth to our first son while I was locked up for 7 years. It started with just a simple idea of becoming rich by gambling. I thought it was so easy, but in the end, I lost and got addicted. I even have to resort to crime to support my habit. I start with small petty crimes, but it was not enough. I eventually end up trafficking drugs to sustain my wayward lifestyle. I was first caught in 1992 for drug trafficking. I was imprisoned for 7 years and escaped the gallows because the drugs were not in my possessions. In the end, I spent more than 15 years in prison and was in and out 7 times. I missed the best part of my children's life and was divorced with my wife in 2003. The prison is where I first learned about God. There were weekly chapel services and most of us will attend regardless whether we believe or not, as it allowed us to be free for a few hours. However, as I sat there listening, I started to believe there was a God. When I was released back into the midst of all the worldly temptation, it was not long before I was back to my old ways. Though I knew God, my faith was just simply not enough to receive the temptation. Therefore, in 2005, I was caught again with 900 grams of heroin in my car. Here in Singapore, anyone with just 15 grams of drugs in possession will be sentenced to death. After I was caught, I felt that dying was not a big deal to me. The severity of my punishment only began to sink in when I started thinking about my loved ones and how I missed them. I began to be afraid. I didn't want to die, so at my week's ends, I remembered God, and so I started to pray. Miracle happened after a few months, when the lab result showed that the actual weight of the heroin in my possession was only 5.6 grams. I believe that the Lord had intervened. He had answered my prayer, and I have escaped the death penalty. This was my second chance that the Lord had given me. I wanted to know more about Him. So in prison, I started to be more active in chapel service and signed up to be in the Bible study group. I was even selected to go through Prison Fellowship Christian Intensive Religion Counseling Program. This is a very popular program with limited intakes, and we have to go through several interviews to be selected. The program brought along the greatest impact in my transformation. This is where my head knowledge became heart knowledge. It was an 18-month program for 6 times a week. We were immersed in the words of God. Prison Fellowship volunteers taught us not only just the Bible, but also practical life application of what we learned. There were also counseling sections to discuss our issue and concerns. This time when I was released from the prison, I was welcomed by Prison Fellowship, Prison Gate Ministry, volunteer and staff. It felt good to have someone welcome me. From the chapel service and Bible study I had in the prison, I have managed to be connected to be part of a local church. After my release in 2010, I attended Woodland Evangelical Free Church regularly, and I have also started to serve as an usher for Sunday service. On top of that, I'm also attending Prison Fellowship Men's Support Group every Thursday. It was helpful to have a good group of brothers journey together because we all face the same challenges. I started to visit my ex-wife in prison as well. Initially, she refused to talk to me, but then she changed her mind when she saw the change in me. She also started to read the Bible and got closer in her walk with God. After her release in 2015, we courted for 2 years before we tied the knot again in 2018. We are so thankful to PFS for introducing the Lord to us. His grace brought us people who had helped us, support us, and love us. Indeed, the people of the Lord are never put to shame. We are able not only to walk out of our dark past, but also to serve as a volunteer in prison fellowship. We believe that the Lord is using our story to bless and impact more people who are like us, and in turn to be a blessing to the society.